Okay, am I audible over here over the web? Yeah, good. Okay, so I think we have discussed what is the need for Terraform, right? And probably some couple of scenarios where you should use the combination of tools. So today let us see on how to use this Terraform and what are the different things which we are supposed to write in it. Okay, the I was using OneNote, right? So let me use the same thing. Yeah, let me start from. Okay, the first thing which you should be basically writing in any Terraform file is this provider. Provider tells Terraform what is your end environment. So for example, if I want to choose AWS, I'll be looking out for providers which basically support AWS. Same thing for Azure, Google Cloud, or whatever it is. Provider is the first thing which we would do. Okay. In Packer, remember we used to select builders. Builder used to tell Packer where is that I am supposed to build. Right? Here the provider is the important stuff which will tell Terraform what is that I am supposed to do. Okay, or where is that I am supposed to do, not what. Okay, so whenever you select provider, provider will come up with resources, data sources. Every provider will come up with resources and data sources. This resources changes from provider to provider. So it doesn't mean that AWS should have the same set of resources as what Azure is supposed to have, or VMware is supposed to have same set of resources as supposed to the other providers. So every provider will have resources and data centers, data sources. Sorry, resources will tell AWS what has to be created. Okay, so for example, I have to create a AWS EC2 machine. My provider should be AWS provider, then I should be selecting some resource which helps me in creating a EC2 machine. Those are the first two options. First, you select the provider. In the provider, you will get list of resources and data sources. Resources will help you to choose what is that you want to do. And then we have something called as data sources. Data sources pull the data from the provider. So for example, what does it mean? What do I mean by it? So while creating AWS EC2 machine, okay, remember the security group section? There are two things which you can do: either create a new security group or use the existing one. So whenever you are using the existing one, is it guaranteed that everyone will have same list of security groups, your account and my account? So that is a dynamic information which cloud has. So for example, if you want to pull such information, you will be using data sources. Data sources help you to pull information from the cloud. Let it be security groups, let it be the image IDs or whatever it is, right? So in some areas we need some data to be given by the provider. In that cases we use data sources, right? But data sources is not a mandatory step, but data source is used to pull data from cloud. I want to know the list of security groups. Okay, probably, or if I give some name such as Ubuntu, I want to know all the valid EMI IDs, all the valid image IDs which are there with Ubuntu. For example, you have created a Packer image, but you don't remember your ID, and you want to pull that from AWS, then you use data source. So data source is something which can query the data from your provider. Okay, so per provider will have some supported data sources, right? So then the last thing is output is the, I would say, a formatted information of, what do you want to show to user? What to show to user? So for example, if I have created a Nginx machine, I would give a URL, http:// the IP address of the machine, so that user will directly go and access that. Okay, so it depends on what is that you want to showcase to your user. So provider, resources, and data sources, right? Data source is not required. Provider and resources must, because even if you just write provider, what is that you are going to do? You are just going to tell that I am going to use AWS, but you have not written anything. So a Terraform file should minimally contain a provider and a resource, a provider and a resource, right? And to use Terraform, as we have discussed in the last class, go to Visual Studio Code and then use an extension called as Terraform, right? And let me go to yeah, let me open my Visual Studio Code over here. So for the people who forget saving, right, there is something called as auto save over here. Please select this. Okay, so whenever you make some changes, Visual Studio Code will do it for you. Okay, so if you don't save and if you try to execute any CLI commands, they will be a failure. Okay, so not a very, what do you say, serious problem, but sometimes the basically what happens is the error message which it gives whenever you are written half or not fully saved document is quite dangerous. You will not be able to make out what is wrong, right? ఇలాంటివి కూడా ఎవరైనా చేస్తారా అనిపిస్తుందా? జరుగుతున్నాయి. That's why I'm trying to tell it. Okay, so let us write our first basic resource, which is I just want to create a AWS EC2 machine, right? So I will call it as my first EC2. So in Terraform, the input is file or directory? File kada? Okay. In Packer? Yes. So every time if you want to do any work in Terraform for a specified purpose, ensure that you are creating a directory. Okay. So for example, if I want to add something to whichever I have created, you can go to that directory and recreate one more file. Okay. What Terraform does is it will try to read all the .tf files in that folder and it will do your job. Okay. So over here, I'll be creating a new file, which I would call it as the same thing, my first ec2.tf. The first thing which we are supposed to write over here is what? Provider. Now let us go to the Terraform's documentation. I'll go over here and just Terraform providers. So I'm directly going to the AWS provider because that is what I'm looking for. So yes, so he tells this is your usage. In the Terraform provider, you are supposed to tell what is your access key, what is your secret key, and what is your region. I don't think so these are new areas anyway, because we have done the same thing in Packer also. Okay, now let me log in into my AWS. Okay, get into identity and access management. Let me use the same user Packer, or I can create also, but since you know how to create, I'm just going with. So done. I have my access key and secret key. All right. So the first thing which I'll be writing is provider. So provider. The syntax of the provider is provider and name of your provider. And what is the name of the provider which you are trying to select? You have please go through documentation while you are doing it. In no way don't try to remember this. There is no harm in basically looking at documentation and doing it, because if you miss, if you write something else, right, you might be getting errors. So whenever you are writing anything, please refer to this documentation. Don't refer to what I have done in the class, what is there in GitHub. No, do as what I am trying to do. The first thing I have to fill provider. So I'm going into the provider, which is AWS. Tomorrow, if I want to create in Google Cloud, I'll be going with Terraform provider, Google Cloud. Same thing with Azure. Please follow these steps. This will help you to work on anything on Terraform. Okay. And the other thing, let me pause the class for some time. I've been seeing the blog or the issues. Okay. 90% of the people are wasting time on installations. Jenkins is not installed. Vagrant is not up. Do you know how many installations will you do in real time? Zero. If your company is organized. Why do you want to waste your time in installations? Okay. నేను చూస్తున్నా అందరికీ అదే ప్రాబ్లం. ఇన్స్టలేషన్. We have done Jenkins in Ubuntu. Let me install Jenkins in Red Hat. Why the hell you want to do that? అడ్మిన్ వర్క్ అడ్మిన్ గానే ఉండిపోదాం అనుకుంటున్నారా? డెవాప్స్ అవ్వాలనుకోవట్లేదా? Wasting loads and loads of time only on installations. Okay. Please don't waste time on installations. See the easy way out. Our job is 10% installation and 90% configuration. You focus only on the 10%. Go to interviews. He will never ask you about how did you install it. Only a fool asks that. If someone is asking how do you install, just say I'm okay, I don't want to join your organization. No one does installations. Jenkins organization లో ఒకసారి డిసైడ్ అయిందంటే నెక్స్ట్ 5-6 ఏళ్ళు ఎవరు పట్టుకోకూడదు. No one will install that. The only thing they might re-image it, but unnecessarily all the issues are around installation itself. For example, you want to practice Jenkins. Jenkins is not happening on Linux. Let us assume you have tried 1 or 2 times. Go to your Windows machine. Java is present. Java minus jar jenkins.war. You will get a web page. Done. Configure the stuff there. Right? So same thing with Artifactory. If Artifactory is not happening on Linux, why do you want to stress it? Download the zip file onto your Windows machine. Windows machine has a decent RAM. Start it. I do it on a Linux machine just to show how your enterprise installations will be. అంతేగాని అవన్నీ మీ దగ్గర ఉండాలని ఏం కాదు. Right? Similarly, Packer I am trying completely on Windows. Okay, why not on Linux? Because Packer for me on Windows or Linux is same. Why don't I try it on Linux? I don't try it on Linux because for me both are same. Okay, so please don't waste your time in installations. Installation is the last thing which you are supposed to do. Okay, ask any guy who is working. Some of your friends might have got job, right? Tell them how did they install Jenkins. They will say I have never done it. It was already there. Okay, on your dev machines anyway you know Choco installation. And ఇంకోటి క్లాసులకు రాకుండా మన మణికంఠని ఒకసారి మీరు మళ్ళీ చెప్పరా, 20-30 రోజుల నుండి వస్తున్నాం మాకేమీ రాలేదు అలాంటి వాళ్ళు ఎవరు ఉంటే చెప్పకండి క్లాస్. దిస్ ఇస్ మై సో వై డూ యూ వాంట్ టు టెల్, వై డూ యూ ఎక్స్పెక్ట్ ల్యాబ్ అసిస్టెంట్ టు టెల్ క్లాసెస్? How many of you have looked that there is a job in Qualcomm today in Hyderabad? How many of you know that? 1 to 5 years experience DevOps engineer in Qualcomm, which will get more pay than any other company which are trying for 10 years. ఇవి చూడరు, ఇన్స్టలేషన్ కావాలి, ఏటీ పోర్ట్ అప్ అవట్లేదు. There is opening in SAP. There is opening in SAP for 2 to 5 years. Why don't you look at that? Right? కొత్తగా ఇప్పుడే స్టార్ట్ అయిన వాళ్ళకి నేను మాట్లాడలేదండి. So for the people who have started just now, just wait until you finishes two cycles. You finish either Terraform and Packer and then Docker and then you can do that. I'm worrying about the people who have already finished at least 2 cycles and they don't know about it. Right? 1 to 5 years Qualcomm is the best offer which you can ever get, because you will not never see positions like that. అసలు ఎంతమంది నౌకరీలో అలర్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేసుకున్నారు ఫస్ట్? How many of you have created alert in Naukri? One. Wonderful. It's like Bangalore's election. Everyone speaks on Bangalore and outbursts in Facebook. Modi is not doing that. Rahul Gandhi is a joke and all of that. Do you know what is the voting percentage of Bangalore? ఫైనల్ గా ఓట్ వేయాల్సిన టైంలో ఎవరు రాలా. మీ పరిస్థితి దగ్గరికి అలాగే ఉంది. Now everyone is trolling the ITs or who the so-called citizens of Bangalore, saying that why don't you vote? Why don't you shout then? Yes. And similarly, I've seen the openings in US also. Right? Hell lot of openings in decent organizations. I'm not sure why you guys are not fit. అంటే మనం చెప్పే సబ్జెక్ట్ వాట్ ఎవర్ వీఆర్ స్పీకింగ్ ఓవర్ హియర్ ఈజ్ మోర్ దాన్ వాట్ ఈస్ రిక్వైర్డ్ ఫర్ యువర్ ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ అండ్ ఫర్ జాబ్స్. Okay, but you waste your time in installations and unnecessary things. Please don't do that. ఒక పని చేయండి, ఎవరికి ఇన్స్టలేషన్ కావాలంటే everyone has an Amazon account, right? Do installation once and share the AMIs to all of them. I don't want you to waste time on installations. Just do it once. Happening, good. Not happening, it's okay. But if you are unable to configure, that is a problem. You don't know, once you have a Jenkins and Artifactory server run, how to make them speak. That's the problem. Jenkins is not coming up. It will not come up on T2 micro. You have to give steroids then to T2 micro, which is increasing swap memory. So for that you need to know Linux. So these are the points which you need to really look out for. If you are solving issues, look it technically. Okay, fine. Create a job alert first. Create a job alert for whatever you are trying, DevOps, AWS, Azure, whatever it is, right? And see what are the different positions, and mark my words, if there are 100 positions, all the 100 will not fit your profile. Some of the profiles might ask for something else. If you are fit for more than 50% of whatever you are seeing, you are good. Okay, so for example, in quality thought, we want a receptionist. Do you know how do we post it? We want a receptionist who knows accounting, who is good looking, who speaks politely. Are you seeing all of that happening? అడగటం ఖర్చు లేని పని కదా. We'll ask for many things, but when it comes to selecting the profile, our major stuff is, let us assume that it is front office. If the person is good at front office, I'll take it. But while writing in the JD, I'll write many things. That's why there is something called as primary skills, and you will have good to have skills. If you are fit in primary skills, you are okay. Okay, fine. అంటే మినిమం నేను చూసిన ఉద్యోగాలు కూడా మీరు చూడలేదు అనమాట. You don't need to do anything. For me, it's a different story, because I have to, there is no need for you to look into each and every job. Create an alert, you will be getting the stuff. You match your resumes. For me, that is not the story. I have to get into every experience, because for me, the people from every experience turn up over here, right? I have to see whether the content is matching to the needs or not, because I have to match the content from 2 to at least 11 to 12 years of experience. I can't just do it for one man like what you are learning. So నాకు తప్పదు, కానీ మీరు you have to just create an alert, create a LinkedIn alert, create a Naukri alert, create a Monster alert. Good, you will come to know what is happening. Okay, and I have spoken to the people who some of us have left to Bangalore, and their statement was, if the person is good at DevOps and he is knowing Azure, that's the best way to get a job right now. That's what, that it is not a statement from me, it is a statement from the person who has recently got a job in Bangalore, because they're getting more calls there. All right, as apart from all the married people who have to stay in Hyderabad, once you finish this course, fly to Bangalore, get the job there, work for 3 or 4 years, then come to Hyderabad. కొంతమందికి, some of the people might have problems. You can try it over here, because it's not the job, it's number of interviews which will help you in cracking the job. Your first interview might be a disaster, second might not be that much a disastrous. Slowly you will become effective, right? You will not be effective on day one in anything, right? I would not basically, even in the classroom, if anyone is asking questions from today, I want an issue to be reported in DevOps issues. Okay, so I'll tell you what is how many of you are looking at that issues. How many of you don't know about it? పర్లేదు నేర్చుకుందాం, ఇవాళ తెలుసుకుందాం, ఏముంది, ఎంతమందికి తెలియదు అసలు ఇష్యూస్ అన్నది ఒకటి ఉందని. So for the people who don't know it, please go and look at this stuff. github.com/qtdevops, and in there is DevOps issues. Click over the issues section. People are using this. So here basically they raise issues. Anything in the classroom, I want an issue here. I'll tell you what is the advantage. నేను మిమ్మల్ని ఏదో ఇబ్బంది పెట్టాలని కాదు. There are issues that at least 5 or 6 of you ask. Same issue asked by 5 or 6 people. We already have a resolution which is basically in the blog already. You can everything. See, these are the closed issues. Now so if you see it here, there is unable to access Jenkins. There is something like artifactory service error. Okay, so for these errors there are resolutions already, right? If some of you ask the same issue again, I don't want us to waste time. Just probably me, Manikanta, or Vijay, Bhaskar will be basically sharing you the issue number, and you can go to that link and you will find the resolution. We want to optimize the time saving also, because we want to work on something else. చేసిన పని మళ్ళీ మళ్ళీ చేయటం ఎందుకు? So please do this. Okay, and I want people's participation also over here, not just me, Bhaskar, or Manikanta trying to help. But I am seeing some of the people are participating, which is really good, but I want many of you participating, right? So that whenever you have an issue, this will slowly become your community. Okay, if this is happening correctly, I don't mind buying a hosted solution for quality thought itself. I wanted it on a public domain because anyone can answer. All right, so please use all of this. There are already a lot of issues and resolutions. and some of the people raise issues ఒక వారం తర్వాత మళ్ళీ వారం వరకు ఏం మాట్లాడరు, దాన్ని వారం తర్వాత it is not resolved yet. You have to be active, right? Yeah, so because if you see, there are many issues that are being raised. Okay, so use this forum. Any doubts in the classroom also, I want it over here, because the doubt which you are asking might be the same doubt which other person on the web has, or other person in the classroom has. Okay, before asking issues, please go through this site. Have a habit of looking at this. Okay, these are the problems which are faced by some of the people. And don't ask about recording sessions, fees, and all of the stuff here. This is purely technical, right? It has to do with only technical issues. Anything of that sort, write a mail to qualitythought.in@gmail.com, or that's the mail, I think. Yeah, or if you have any stuff related to classes or some other stuff, you can always write to that mail. Whatever mail which you are getting, daily classes or communication, please do that. Okay, don't write anything about because it's a public domain, man. Okay, so don't write about anything about the, what do you say, unnecessary stuffs apart from technical. Any issue, please post it. You can put your screenshots, files, everything over here. All right, yeah. And don't waste your times on installations. If you really want it, I can share AMIs. Use your Amazon cloud, I'll make them public. They start using them directly. Okay, నేను అది ఎందుకు చేయలేదంటే అసలు పూర్తిగా ఇన్స్టలేషన్ మానేస్తారని. I already have images in my account. The only thing which I have to do it, I have to basically make it public, which is very simple for me. But the problem is, if I do it, no one will do any installation. Try installation once, happening, wonderful. Not happening, leave it and start using AMIs. Okay, because installations will not help you to get jobs, right? This was a problem which I wanted to address, but yesterday I couldn't make it, right? Okay, so from today onwards, anyone facing any installation issues, you will get an AMI ID. So if you don't, then tell me that I don't have an AWS account, then only God can help you. All right, okay. How to install Terraform? Chaco install Terraform, as simple as that. right? Okay, so provider, and we have gone into this documentation, and over here I am seeing AWS. So I'll write AWS. Since I don't know how to use variables or anything yet, I will be basically hard coding. So in provider AWS, so if you come down, he will give you the complete syntax. So what are the different things which you can put and all of that stuff. Okay, different ways of solving this stuff. I'll not be getting into all of this. I'll be using very simple way, which is region, access key, and secret key. Mark, this is this is not JSON. It might look like JSON, but it is not. Okay, so hey, what is that? Okay, so my region is US. Okay, no comma after that. Just see the syntax. There is no need for you to give any comma, right? And then let me copy and paste. I don't want to spell it wrong. Access key is equals to, I have downloaded my credentials just now, right? So I'll go to the downloads. I did this with Notepad. My access key, and then what is the last thing? Secret key. Okay. Simple. The first stuff always is provider. Good. Okay. So if I ask you to work on other cloud, you will be filling whatever is required for you to add that provider. For example, in Azure, you might be writing something which connects your Terraform to Azure, right? Okay. So this is done. Now the next thing, whatever we want to create, I want to create an EC2 machine. Anything which you want to create as an environment, we would call it as a resource. We would call it as a resource. Since I have said my provider is AWS, I would be looking out for AWS resources. I'd be looking out for AWS resources. So let me go to the Google and then Terraform AWS resources. Okay. So you will be seeing data sources. We are not interested in data sources because data sources help us in pulling the value. I want to create something now. So let me scroll down. These are all the AWS services if you know it, AWS. But we know something. I'll be going back to that. EC2, EC2 resources. Now what is that I want to create? EC2 instance. Are you seeing anything which might help us? Okay. So in here, you will be finding a syntax or you would be finding different values of what you can pass. While creating an AWS EC2 instance, I can give an AMID. I can tell availability zone. And if you see, for every property, there will be something called as required or optional. Okay. So whatever is required, you are supposed to fill it. Whatever is optional, if it is, for example, I want to create a EC2 machine in something called as availability zone B. If that is your requirement, then you'll be filling it. If that is not the case, you'll not be worrying about it. So you will go through all of this list and we would be basically looking at what are the required fields. For example, instance type is required. Instance type is required. So these are all the whole lot of things which you can do. Okay, fine. Now, generally, whenever you create, update, or you do anything on Terraform, it will wait for 10 minutes. If it is taking more than 10 minutes, Terraform will treat it as a failure. Okay, if you have to change certain things, you can change timeouts. Okay, 99.99% of the time we don't change timeouts. But if you are doing something really hefty, so for example, you log in into the machine and then you launch something which takes half an hour, that's the only case when you come and basically do with the stuff, right? Okay, so let us not worry about all of this. Let us just go over here. Okay, so I want to use this resource. Now let me see what is, how do I write a resource. Resource will have type and then it will have name. Type in this case is AWS underscore instance and name is whatever you want to call it. So I'd go over here and then I would say resource type is AWS hyphen instance or underscore instance, underscore, yes, instance, and then whatever name which you want to call it. I would call it as my first. So in here you have to write all the required fields. If you don't write required fields, it will not be able to work. So what was the first required field? AMI. All right, so let me write AMI. AMI equals to, what is the image ID which you want to give? So let me go to the AWS again, and we know how to find AMI IDs, right? So let me give some AMI which I already have in my system. Okay, so I'll give my images, but if you want to give, you can give any image, any image ID of this region. So what is it I would like to give? Packer this chana. Okay, so let me give this. What is the image ID? Fine. Okay, now the next important field is instance type. So go to the documentation. Okay, here. Okay, rest of all I'm fine. Instance type, instance underscore type. All right, so whenever you are writing instance underscore type, AWS has fixed names, you can't write whatever it is. Okay, so if you want to know whole list of instance type, Google for it. AWS instance types. So these are the names which you are supposed to use, out of which T2 micro is free. Okay, so let me use T2 micro for now. All right, so T2 dot micro. Now, do you want to log in inside this machine or not? Yes. If yes is your answer, you need to give key. Yes. If no is your answer, don't give any key, leave it. So you'll be getting a machine and you will not be able to log in into it. Since I want to log in into this machine, I want a key. So how do you get your keys? If you scroll down a bit, I think I have crossed it. Key pairs. Okay. I don't have any key. First thing is, let me create a key. I would create a key which I would call as, okay, so doing it like from here or doing it while creating the EC2 machine are both the same. While creating the EC2 machine for the first time, remember that you said that create a key value pair, key pair, and then you have done basically whenever you do this, it will come and create a key pair over here. So doing it from there or here is same. So I want to use this. Okay, so let me go to that field. Yes, that's what I'm trying to do now. Okay, so from Terraform, I'd be basically using a key name. So what is our key's name now? Key underscore name is equals to, okay, good. Now, is there anything else which I need to pass? Password, security group, yes, yeah. Security group is a mandatory field because without it you will not be able to log in into this. Otherwise it will take default. Okay. So let me use security groups. 1 minute. Okay. So these are some of the examples. Okay. Some of the examples of different things. Okay. But here we are interested only in AWS instance. All right. So now let me go with security groups. And if you see, security groups is an array. Security security groups is what? Basically, here you give a list of group names. A list of group names. And whenever you say list, it is an array. So I'll be writing that in the format of square brackets. And then you can give the name of your security group. Go to your AWS security groups. Give whatever name which you want to give. I'll be using this all TCP and ping. Okay. So for you also, you might have some name. Give that. Fine. Now let us look at the other properties. Any other things required? No. While creating the EC2 machine, if you don't give VPC, it will go into default. Since I am not worried about network right now, I am not selecting it. If I am worried, I will. As of today or as of this use case, I am not worried. Okay. Now let us see whether this will work out or not. What is the first step which you are supposed to do? What is it? Terraform. Okay. So let me launch PowerShell. Terraform init. What this init will do? Since you are using a provider called as AWS, Terraform will download the latest provider. Okay. Without this provider downloaded, you will not be able to work with Terraform. Yeah. If you have put 3 providers, all the 3 will be downloaded. Right. Now, let us look at the other command line arguments. Terraform hyphen hyphen help. Okay. Terraform apply, Terraform console, Terraform destroy, environment, all of that. But are we seeing anything which would help us? Are you seeing something called as validate? Yes. Okay. So Terraform validate, you can use some of the options and then you have to give the directory path. Okay. So if you see the options are more about variables. And if you look at our file has no variables. So as of now, I'm not be worrying about variables. And if you look at variables, they are no different than what you have seen in Packer. In Packer also, we used to have something like this. Packer build minus var, give the name of the variable and its value. Okay. Here also you'll see the same thing. Because it is from the same company, you will have the similar command line arguments. Now it's okay. Now what I would do is Terraform validate and then I have to give the directory. Okay. So whenever I am giving this directory, I am already in that directory. So I'll be giving dot. Otherwise, I'll give the directory path. Not it has not given anything means you are good. It has not given anything means you are good. Now let us see the other commands. Terraform hyphen hyphen help. Okay. Terraform apply, as you see, will build the infrastructure. I'm okay. Okay. There is something called as Terraform plan. Terraform plan. It will try to tell you what is that it would do. Okay. Now let me try to do that. Just make a note of the names. Just the first thing which I have used was init, and after that I have used is validate. Now I'm trying to use plan, and after that I'll be using apply. Just remember those parts. There is no need for you to remember any syntaxes, because if I want to know any syntaxes, if you are seeing what I'm trying to do, I'll just do Terraform plan hyphen hyphen help. Okay, man, this is the problem. Yeah. Okay, if you see Terraform plan options, you can use something called as directory or a plan. Since we don't know what a plan is yet, I'll be basically calling it as a directory. So now I'd be saying Terraform plan, and I have to give directory. Since I'm already in that directory, I'm giving dot. Otherwise, I would have given the path to that directory. Okay. So if you see, this is what would be done. Okay. What I can do is, let me do something decent. Terraform plan. Okay. Okay. I've just redirected all the output to a text, a notepad file. If you see over here, he's trying to tell that you will be using this image ID. Okay. And whenever you are seeing something called as computed, that means that will be given to you as a result of this execution, right? And now get password data, you have given it as, by default it is false. Instance state, it is computed, because it will tell you whether it is running or failed. So if you see, we have given T2 micro, so it is T2 micro. Okay. And the key name, whatever key name which you have set, and the security groups, whatever security groups which you have set. This plan, what you can do is, you can save this plan, and while you are applying, you can directly apply from this plan. Plan is nothing but a text file of which it shows what has to be done. Okay. So let me remove this. It's okay. I just wanted to show you that output. Right. Now plan will tell you what will happen. Now Terraform apply something which I want to look at now. Okay. So Terraform apply, even the same thing over here. Terraform apply, give the directory or a plan. Okay. So since I have not stored any plans as of now, I'll be giving directory. Terraform apply and the current directory. So it says basically this is what your plan is. Okay, you will get the same plan output, and then he's asking one if you want to do it. Okay, zero to change, zero to destroy. Okay, Terraform will proceed basically the following values. Okay, so what is that you want to do? I said add. Okay, now let me try the other stuff. Apply, cancel. Basically what is it asking? It is asking us to enter the value. Okay, so now let me go ahead. Okay, you have to read the documentation. 100 కాదు కదా, ఎస్ ఆర్ నో ఎంటర్ చేయమంది. ఓకే, plan, basically whenever you enter plan 1, right, whenever you want to change the plan dynamically and all of that, that would apply it. Now basically it is trying to create something on our AWS account. Okay, so let us see whether it is really doing it or not. Where is my AWS? Yes, I get into my instances section. Something happening. Okay, a T2 micro machine, and if you scroll down to the extreme right, which is connected to all TCP and IP security group, right, and when you click on connect, the key pair is the newly created Terraform. Now if you want, you can log in inside this machine also. All right, since we have not written any provisioning, it's okay. We have, our plan was to just create this machine, and I'm able to. Now after creating this machine, I want to log in into that machine and then do something. That's a provisioning part. Okay, so now what I want to do is, let us assume that this is good. Okay, but ideally key name I have hard coded it. Okay, but if I want basically Terraform to create a key for me, or basically, or Terraform to create a security group for me, can we do that, or do you think can't we do it? Yes or no? Yes. If yes, what is that we are supposed to do? Okay, EC2 machine create, for to create a EC2 machine, what is that we have written? Resource. To create the security group also, it is one more resource. To create the security group is also one more resource. All right, so this is what it is. Okay, and now whenever you try to do Terraform apply again, let me do it again, see what happens. I'm doing apply. Is it doing something different? First time, if you remember, whenever I did Terraform apply and dot, it has told that this is your plan, and now you tell me whether you want to continue or not. Now is it doing the same thing? No. Okay, it is calling it as something. I'm trying to refresh the state. All right, so if you remember correctly, I have started my Terraform discussion saying that there will be a file called as a state which will maintain all of that. Are you seeing something called a state over here? Yes, but we said that initially we might be using our directory, but later on we will try to move it to a common place where all of our developers can, or all of our team can use the same state file. Okay, so if you see over here, now it says that apply is complete. Apply is complete because basically whatever you have asked for is already there. Even if you try to do apply, it will try to do the one thing. It will try to just check whether whatever you have written in your Terraform file is present in AWS or not. Okay, if it is deviating from what you have asked, it will try to create. Otherwise, it will just say that you are good. That's what it has done right now. He said that I want to create a EC2 machine, which is T2 micro, with the following security groups. Right now, it has just cross-checked whether it is there or not. If it was not there, then it would have created it. Okay, since it was there, it is not doing anything. Now let me go ahead and basically do one more stuff. Okay, let me go to the AWS. Okay, what was it? EC2 resources. Yeah, good. I don't want to do key pair now. No. Yes. AWS security group. Shall we create one security group? Okay. Basically, I'll blindly copy paste whatever is here. Okay. I'm not even worried about it. I just blindly. So now what is that I have done? I've made changes to my Terraform file. Okay. I've written some extra additional resource which was not there earlier. Okay. Now let me do Terraform apply. Okay. What is that I have missed? Oh, this let us hard code it. For now, I'll be hard coding this. All right. Are there any other dynamic variables? No. Good. So let us go to our AWS EC2 machine. Okay. And when you scroll down, you'll be seeing something called as VPC ID. All right. Copy this. Paste it over here. Okay. Now let me do the same command again. Actually, you have to do Terraform validate, Terraform plan, and all of the state again. But I'm directly doing apply. Okay. Init is not required because the provider has not changed. For example, let us assume that I have now have written a provider for Azure. Then I have to do init again. Yeah. Init is required whenever you do changes to providers. Now it is basically querying AWS. Okay, this is what I wanted as per my file. Do you have the same thing? Okay. If it is matching, it will not do anything. If it is not matching, it will try to do that stuff. Okay. So there is no need for you to write a file, execute it once, and then do all of the things completely. You can do basically iterative development also. Now if you see it is trying to tell the same thing. Okay. EC2 machine you have it, but you have asked me to create a security group, and for that this is a plan. Okay. Do you want to continue? Yes, I would. Okay. Error occurred. Okay. Invalid prefix list. Oh man. There are some assumptions. Oh, this is some ID which he is expecting. All right. So I can't help it. Prefix list. It is an optional, right? Why the hell I want it? Copy paste listenable until రావచ్చు because they expect you something which is already there in that environment. For example, if you take my Terraform file and try to work, the first error which you get is I don't know what is your VPC ID because that ID is very specific to my account. Okay. Later on, we'll basically what we can do is we can create variables for whatever is changing, like what we did in Packer. But as of now, let us do this again. Now, Terraform apply. If you see this, I am changing the Terraform file and I'm waiting to get an environment whatever I have desired for. Whatever I have basically desired for. If it is good, wonderful. Otherwise, not so good. You have to basically recreate. Okay. So whenever you want to recreate, you will be doing for creating what is that we have done, Terraform, apply. Do the same thing, remove, apply, and call it as destroy. So it will create, it will basically delete whatever you have created. Okay. So first is init, it will get you providers. Validate will tell you whether your syntax is right or not. Plan will tell you what is that you are trying to do. Apply is basically it will try to execute your plan. All right. So now if you see, it is modifying the stuff which it has created. There was some error while creating. Okay. In the meantime, while it is doing this job, let me get into security groups. So what is our security group? Allow underscore all. Is it created? Yes. Inbound rules, whatever you have given in there, it is allowing all traffic, and outbound rule, allow all traffic. Okay. That is the same state that is being reflected over here. So here you have asked for two resources. One is AWS EC2 instance. The other one is security group. Now it doesn't make sense for you to create a security group and give something else to that machine, right? So how do you use one whatever resources which you have created in other resource? So for that you have to use special syntaxes. But whatever you want, okay. So for example, if I want to keep here, what is that we would be doing now? I would go to the resource which is AWS key pair, and then I'll find out what are the values which I need to enter. Okay. So let me show you that. Okay. AWS underscore. Yes. Now if you want to create a key, he's trying to basically telling you, give me the public key and keep private key with yourself. Okay. So for the people who don't know what it is, have you ever worked on a command which is called as SSH keygen? So whenever you execute SSH keygen, you will be getting two keys. One is public key and a private key. Okay. In this case, what is asking you to tell is create that key and give public key to me, and that private key is your PEM file. So that's what this stuff is. Okay. Similarly, security group. Now let us assume what is the other thing which we want to basically create. Let us. Everyone knows about S3, right? Amazon S3 bucket, right? So AWS S3 bucket. Now in the S3 bucket, you might be telling, okay, that is all fine. Okay. What is basically your ID? What is your bucket domain name? What is the region which you want? What is the website which you want? You can go into all of this and you can basically create a very simple S3 bucket. Okay. So, oh, I have created a data source, man. S3. Yes. That's it. Are you seeing this? The bucket's name is B, or the resources name is B, and the bucket's name is my TF test bucket, right? So whatever services which you know in cloud, try to create it by using these resources. S3 bucket, everyone knows, right? Basically, you have to go into the S3 service and then say create a bucket and fill those values. Now, rather than doing it from UI, you are doing it from Terraform. Okay, fine. So make a list of what are the different services which you know about in the cloud. Okay. So for example, I know how to create security group, I know how to create key value pair, I know how to create a EC2 machine. Okay. Or I know how to create a S3 bucket, I know how to create an IAM user. We all know how to create an IAM user, right? Because that is what we have done. Using this, you can create an IAM user also. So make a list of some steps, like basically I want to create a EC2 machine. Okay. Today separately, I don't want to link them. Okay. Create the resources. Okay. And now after that, what we would try to do is, rather than creating them, let us try to reuse. First, I'll create a security group. That security group, I will use it in a EC2 machine which I am going to create. Similarly, I'll be creating a key value pair, and I'll be using the same key value pair in the EC2 machine what I'm going to create rather than creating it separately. For today, I don't want you to link. For today, just create them. Okay. And then for the people who are from cloud, how many of you are from AWS who are learning cloud? Okay. You can do whatever you are learning there. Whatever you are doing from CLI, you can do from Terraform. Okay. So for the people who are from non-cloud background, that you don't have much of information of what it is, just create basic services like EC2, S3. All right. Fine. Okay. Now let me look at questions. I think we'll have handful of questions now. What is this? Okay. Fine. Terraform can use only for AWS. Terraform can use whatever providers which you have. The answer for this is the provider there for whatever environment which you are looking out for. Right? Yeah. When we apply Terraform for the first time, we observed instance is running and the status check is in progress before it completed. We try to apply Terraform again. Will it not impact? No, it will not impact the running instance. It will just query Amazon. This is what I have been asked to do. Are you having the same state, or is there some differences, or are there some differences? If it is matching to the file whatever you have asked, it will basically, it is just querying Amazon. It is not changing anything in Amazon. Right? So once it has queried, if there is any difference, it will ask you, do you want to continue? Then only it will try to modify. For example, the security group case. First time whenever we have run it, it has failed. Next time whenever we have removed a dependency and I said Terraform apply, then it said that I will be modifying this security group. Are you okay with that? We said yes, then only it continue. That's how it is. Right. Terraform apply means it will plan and it will build infrastructure. Terraform apply is equivalent to plan plus building the infrastructure. So if you don't want Terraform apply to plan, rather than giving a directory, we have to give a file called as a plan. Okay. So, but since we don't know, at least as of we don't know that as of now, I'm going with a very basic stuff. Every time today, throughout all of the stuff, my input was just directory. Remember that. Name directory tappa vere input evala. In all the cases, Terraform validate dot. Terraform plan dot, where dot was my current directory. Similarly, Terraform apply dot. In all of my cases today, the input was a directory. Okay. So whenever you change input from directory to something called as a plan, then the way it behaves is slightly different. All right. Okay. What is ingress and egress? Okay, that is a security group concept where it speaks about incoming traffic and outgoing traffic. Right. So that's what it is. Terraform apply, does it call Terraform plan internally? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. That's why it is showing you that this is what it is. Yeah. Okay. So are we good on this? Basic resources, whatever you know in cloud. I'm not stressing on try to create something which is working and all of that. Make a list of 3 or 4 things which you know good in cloud and try to create that. Okay. Now let me try to do something else now. Terraform provider. Okay. So these are all your different kinds of providers. All right. So let us assume I want to do something in Azure. The first thing which I should be looking at is basically following this. Okay. But here if you see, he asks you to create an environment in a different way. All of the documentation is over here. You have to just follow this. Every tool might not have the same stuff. If you know Azure, he is asking you to create something called a service principal and then authenticating via CLI. So you have to follow all of that. Okay. We use AZ login. Here also it is AZ login, but it is something slightly different. Right? Okay. So let us assume that you want to work on Google Cloud. The first and foremost thing which you need to set up is provider. Once you have provider, then you will go with resources. Let us assume that someone says that I want you to create a Google some compute engine, okay, or Google virtual machine. All right. So Basically, based out of this provider, you will see what are the valid resources which you have and what are the inputs which I need to give. Initially, like today, what we have done, I'll be giving all the hard coded values. Slowly, I'll be writing it effectively. Okay, slowly I'll be writing it effectively. Once I know how to do all of this stuff, we have a very better way of using all of this without much pain. Okay, but to feel that as it is no pain, we should know what is happening around here. Okay, so are we good? Yes. Go over here. Anything which you know over here. So for example, for the people who know how to work with Docker, there is also a Terraform provider for Docker. You can use Terraform to create environments in Docker. Use it. Okay, and see what are the different resources which you have only 4 resources over here: container, image, network, and volume. Using Terraform, you can create a Docker image or a Docker container or a Docker network. Just see whatever anything which you know in this provider section, please play with that. Okay, one last thing before I end it up. There is one simple stuff over here. No, that is in Packer. In Packer, we have a builder called as file. That is something which you can play with. You just tell it you want a file in some stuff, it will be created. So here, basically go ahead and basically do whatever you know in this list. Whatever you know in this list. So for example, there is something called as GitHub. I'm quite sure that everyone has a GitHub account now. Just see what is that you can do there. What are the different resources that are supported. So whenever you select any provider, he will try to tell you what are the resources which it has. You can create a GitHub repository from Terraform. That's what a GitHub repository is. So just see every provider, and that gives you an execution environment. Asal GitHub మనం వాడతామా రియల్ టైమ్ లో Terraform అంటే you might not, but the whole concept is Terraform can work on anything or everything wherever there is a provider. Okay, so for example, you'll be seeing some clouds like Ali cloud and all of that, which are basically used in China and all of that, right? In India, not many use Ali cloud. Okay, but in China, people use Ali cloud. So there is something, the provider called as Ali cloud there. All right, that's how it is. Okay, so you can use Terraform for your existing virtual environments also. vSphere. So if you want to create anything in vSphere, the first thing is you need to configure your vSphere over here, vSphere server over here. So how do you configure that? He will give you a simple example. So for the people who already know how to work on vSphere, this is that. ఇవన్నీ మనకి రావాలని కాదండి, అన్ని అందరికి రావు. So for example, if you go and ask me saying that how to work on Ali cloud, I have never created, never worked. Okay, the only impression which I came to know was Ali cloud is very much like Amazon AWS, even the names and all of that stuff, right? So I will do it manually once, then I'll come to know what are the different things which I need to fill, and I'll then fill them in Terraform. So anything which you can create, okay, you can create using Terraform, but focus on cloud stuff. Focus on cloud, not on other areas. Okay, even Docker is not required to be created from Terraform. People generally don't use it. Yeah, they have given a provider, but it is all meant for cloud services. All right, so we'll be doing a very simple stuff where we will be using both Azure and AWS from a same Terraform file once we know all the concepts of the stuff. Okay, so tomorrow what we'll be looking at is, yeah, how to use a resource created in the same file in other resource. For example, I create a security group and then I use that security group in other resource in the same file. How do I do that? Okay, and how to create variables. Variables is simple, we know that, but we have a special syntax over here. That's it. We need to learn that. And then tomorrow we'll be working with a Terraform file which is quite dynamic than this. The Terraform file which I have will work only on my cloud now, because the VPC ID is hard coded, the key is hard coded, the AMI ID is hard coded, all of them are hard coded. But going forward, we'll make it dynamic like what we did for Packer. All right, fine. Any questions? Yes. Hmm. ఏంటి ఎప్పుడు 7:30 ఏంటది? Okay. Okay, I'll speak. I have 6 years of experience in middleware administration. How many years of DevOps? See, it depends on what are the tools which you are putting. So, for example, if you are adding Ansible or Chef or Docker, not more than 2 years, right? If you are adding Jenkins, you can go to your imagination because Jenkins was there in business from long back. Okay, so I would not recommend anything beyond 4 years for Jenkins. Okay, because if you are 4 years experience in Jenkins, that means that you are an expert in Jenkins. So if you believe you are an expert, then put 4 years. Otherwise, make to 2 and 2.5 years per tool. Okay. Yeah. What is the difference between two names and the resources? See, name is what how you want to call it. So, for example, you want to create two security groups. So, resource is AWS underscore security group. For the first security group, you will be giving name as SG1, and that is your first resource. And then you will be writing one more resource section, resource again security group, and now this time you are calling that resource group as SG2. That is the name in the Terraform file. Yeah. Can we retrieve all the security groups using Terraform? I said right, that is data source, and we have not basically looked into how the data sources work. So when we look into data sources, we'll be discussing about that. Okay. Giving provider AWS is not installed. What has to be done? Man, this is how where I started my Terraform class with. When you will get that error? Did you execute a Terraform in it? ఇదండి పరిస్థితి. You have to execute Terraform in it before you do anything. Write your file, write your providers first, save your file, Terraform in it. Right? Because if you don't do Terraform in it, Terraform will not know what has to be done. Okay. I have also said that whenever you do Terraform in it, a folder will be created which is called as .terraform. And in that I have shown you the path of all of that. Okay. Terraform. Did you join recently, just now? Because you are asking the same things whatever I started my class with. The first thing is Terraform init, then is Terraform validate, then is Terraform plan, then is Terraform apply. Once you have done everything, then Terraform destroy. That's it. Okay, any other doubts? Ah, okay. So there is one announcement from Quality Thought. Actually, uh, so for the there is a class from 11:30 to 1 today. Okay, by an HR manager who speaks about writing effective mails and improving email communication. So for the people who think that who needs to improve on that area, please attend the classes from 11:30 to 1. Okay. So whether it is here or what is the location of it, for the people who are here, ask Satish. Okay. So but for the people who are finding it difficult to write mails and conversations, I think you can attend it. How many of you are not working? Not a working class. Ensure all of you attend that. Very important. Working class, I don't think so. You require it if you are good, but if you think that there is some room for improvement, join that. What is ingress and aggressor? That is a security groups concept which speaks about incoming traffic and outgoing traffic. Ingress is a traffic which comes in, and egress is a traffic which goes out. Okay. Yeah. Okay then. So I'm destroying whatever I've created. Yeah. Second version create చేయాలంటే ఇంకో రిసోర్స్ రాయాలి. See, anything which you want to create is a resource. I will. Yes. Separate resource అంటే ఫైల్ కదా, ఫైల్ ఒక సెక్షన్. సెక్యూరిటీ గ్రూప్ ఎలా యాడ్ చేసాం మనం, అలాగే ఇంకో ఈసీటీ